Can I remind you that the meeting is being recorded and the recording will be made available on the Comhairle's website following the meeting. Item number 1 on your agenda is the minute of the meeting of the 6th of May earlier this year. Do we approve those minutes? Thank you. Item 2 is declaration of interest. Members are asked to declare any interest they may have in any items of the agenda. It would be helpful if members explained why they are declaring an interest in the item concerned. Councillor MacLeod online.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay there?
Yes, loud and clear. Thanks, Ian.
I will take your own advice on this as a member of the HHP board. I remain in the meeting or not.
Mr. Mackay.
Yeah, Councillor MacLeod, that may very well be a declarable interest. You may wish to declare it and not take part in the decision.
Okay, so it's okay to listen in but not take part.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. I would remind members that you need to consider if you have preempted the decision-making process by declaring support or opposition for the application in advance of the meeting or by lobbying other members for a particular outcome, being able to participate in any planning decision. Any motion or amendment in relation to a planning application must be based solely on planning reasons. If a member moves an amendment, the Chair will invite him or her to clearly articulate the amendment and the planning reasons upon which it is based. Thereafter, the Chair may at his discretion continue the business of the meeting in accordance with the time-out protocol. The Planning Officer will present the recommendations of officers. In the event of a member seeking to move an amendment, the Chair may call upon the Legal Advisor or the Planning Advisor to provide advice to the Board. So moving on to item 3 on today's agenda, this is an application for phased housing development to erect 160 houses with associated roads, infrastructure and plot for future commercial development at Melbost West Housing Development Site, Sandwick, Isle of Lewis. Now, this planning application is classed as a major development under the Town and Country Planning Hierarchy of Development Scotland Regulations 2009. The application cannot be determined under delegation, and in accordance with the scheme of delegation is therefore referred to the Board to make a recommendation to Comhairle on the application. Comhairle or full council will consider the application at its meeting tomorrow. And can I now invite Helen MacDonald to speak to the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Quite a long report, so thank you for your patience going through that. I'll use the PowerPoint to just talk through the key elements raised in the report, to give you some context on the site and the proposal, and then to advise you of the recommendation. Thank you. So as the Chair has advised, it's a phased housing development for 160 houses with the associated roads and infrastructure, as well as a plot for future commercial development. The site is called Melbost West. It's on Melbost Farm and is located just to the town side of the existing large Melbost East housing development, often termed the Mackenzie developments, as many of the streets have been named after. Just to let you see where the site is, a wee context map there. The red outline at the bottom left-hand side of your screen is the development site. Just to its right, to the east, you can see the now developed Mackenzie schemes. To the south of the site, you can see the Park End Industrial Estate, and to the southeast, the Park End housing schemes. In the wider area, you can see it's just to the west of the airport. To the north, you can see the remainder of Melbost Farm, and further north, you can see Stanish, Stewartfield, Plasterfield, North Street, and to the southeast, you can see Sandwick there. So a detailed slide, I'll give you time to read through it, but I'll take you through each point quickly. It's a 4-phase development for 160 houses, with the roads, amenity areas and landscaping. It's within the mapped main settlement of Stornoway, and the proposals also include a plot with the capacity for a future commercial development. The application site is quite large, extending to 10 hectares. The development includes in-carriageway works on the A866, which serves Point. This involves slight realignment of the road and the development of a roundabout to manage the traffic flow into the proposed housing site, also into the existing Melbourne East housing sites and through the A66 itself. The site is currently used for grazing. It is not classed as prime agricultural land on the Macaulay Land Index. The surroundings are other parcels of agricultural land, residential uses, public road to the south, as well as the well-screened Park End industrial estate beyond. The site's not designated for any habitats nor for any landscape value. The proposal is classed as a major development in the development hierarchy and was subject to what's called the PAC process. So that's the formal pre-application consultation public engagement process. The proposal, again, is major, repeating myself, my apologies, and was subject to this application consultation process. This involved 2 public meetings. It was advertised and promoted through the local press and online. The process included online feedback options as well as options to feedback during the meetings. Comments received at the first meeting resulted in responsive changes or replies at the second meeting, and also to responsive changes in the proposals and additions based on the comments from public engagement. Those have been consolidated in the pre-application consultation report, which accompanies the application. Again, I'll just take you through what's proposed on site. You can see there on the left a zoomed in version of our previous aerial shot. You can see the shape of the roads and housing layout, green spaces and drainage at Mackenzie East on your right. What you can see on the proposed site plan on the right of the slide there is quite similar in terms of layout, trying to mirror some of the style and design of Mackenzie East to make sure it comes as would develop as a cohesive development on site. On the central spine between the 2 sites, so that's on the east of the development site, you can see suds basins, amenity areas. Right in the centre there, a wee bus lay-by to connect the sites. At the bottom of the site, you can see the proposed small roundabout and where the carriageway would push in towards Melbourne West and realign the A866. For clarity on the phases, you can see it's intended to develop from south to north. We do not have a specific timeline for that as of yet, but the indicative numbers for each phase is shown there on the left. So starting with, that's showing how blind I am. I think it says 38 units. You'll read better than myself. 35 units in phase 2, 44 in phase 3, and 43 in phase 4. Again, it's a mix of housing. So you can see on the left-hand side there, it ranges from 1-bedroom, 2-person units, right up to 4-bedroom, 7-person units. This is in a mix of designs as well, single story, as well as 1 3/4 story for the larger houses. These are based on designs that have already been utilised in Melbourne East, as well as the new Blackwater development and the development at the previous Goathill Farm, also by the same applicant. Again, just a couple of wee examples of the house designs, quite traditional, but with a mix of finishes throughout. That's the larger scale property there, the 4-bedroom, 7-person capacity. The applicant has provided a variety of site plans so we can focus on the different elements proposed. This one was a connectivity plan, so you can see that there are footpaths proposed throughout the site that would link back into the public roads and also help link back into Melbourne East through that spinal route. You can see there's a landscaped play area proposed centrally. This is at the point where you can see the bus lay-by on the far right-hand side of the slide, along with the bus shelter, dog waste bins, salt bins, and various other amenity features throughout the site. This is the same connectivity plan, but a snapshot of the south of the site. Helps get an understanding of the realignment of the road, the inclusion of the roundabout. You can see the future commercial plot at the bottom right-hand side there. Small amenity spaces included, along with the green drainage system, the sustainable drainage system. What you can also see there is the existing junction to Melbourne East, if you just look at the bottom right-hand corner of the slide. There are houses with their parking areas served directly off that access. The proposal is to have that bollarded to ensure that people can access their houses from the main new route in at Mackenzie East, but not from the 8866. All access will be through the new roundabout into the site for both Mackenzie East and Mackenzie West. Just another point on the roundabout is probably one of the main changes people would look at, looking at the plan and how it might affect them. There's currently a pedestrian path, colloquially termed Charlie's Path, on the south end of this field, and it takes everyone from Melbourne East on foot away from the main road towards Sandwick, to the former school, the dance studio, and the footpath in towards the town. The developers are aware of the importance of this, and you can see that they've highlighted while construction works would be going on within the roadway, they would ensure that the path with a somewhat alternative route is retained. Then following the conclusion of the roads works and the progression of works into the housing, they would ensure that that path is accessible so people can continue to access Sandwick on the north side of the street without having to double back towards the pedestrian crossing, which is located east, which should then take you to the footpath on the south of the road. It's just some site images so you can see what we're currently looking at. This is taken from the public footpath just beside the Park End Industrial Estate, looking north up the development site. You can see some of the existing houses at the back of East Street on your left and some of the existing houses at the Mackenzie developments on your right. You can see that there is a rise in the land. Its lowest point is beside the road and rises consistently to the north. Again, just a slight turnaround from the same point looking northeast. So you can see the Mackenzie developments there and the farmland which is proposed for development. Taking you to the centre point of the site there, there's an old bit of concrete farm infrastructure. Thank you very much, Fiona. And that's us looking south. You can see the main current spinal route on your left there and the development site to the right, with the planting at the Park End Industrial Estate prominent in the centre of the slide. Same point, but looking back up north, you can see that the Mackenzie developments continue all the way to the back of the East Field, and you can see the land to the left of the slide would be the north portion of the development proposed here. Taking you right back to the north end of the development site, you can see Mackenzie on the left. We're facing due south on the access road, and you can see the application site to the right. It's quite level at this point, but please note that it's already raised quite a lot from the main road, and you can't actually see the bottom of the site from here because of the gradient in the centre of the site. There's an approximate 8-metre difference between the road level and the top field level, and this is detailed in the site topography and sections that were submitted with the application. Okay, this is taking us back down towards the housing I was speaking about earlier that is serviced directly from this current main route with their parking areas. So this is roughly where the access from the roundabout would come in to join the existing spinal route, and the current junction would be bollarded at the end. You can see it just towards the Park End housing there. Standing up Park End, looking up at that junction. So as I advised previously, that would be bollarded off. You can just start to see the beginning of the commercial plot area to your left there. And facing northwest now, yes, northwest now, looking back over the development site, commercial plot in the foreground, parts of East Street at the far left of the slide there, and you'd be looking over the full housing development site there. And again, looking further back towards former Sandwick School in East Street, the roundabout would be pretty central to the slide here, with the realignment of the road at the position opposite Park End Industrial Estate, not the Park End housing area, which would remain unaffected by the works by and large, other than the in-carriageway realignment. Okay, we did receive one public representation. The responses from consultees are within the report, but I thought it important to highlight that because of the scale of development, the Area Community Council, Sandwick Community Council, were formally consulted. We also consulted Stornoway Community Council as immediately adjoining the area if they had any interests, and they did raise some representations, which I'll take you through now. The public representation only raised one issue. It was a positive one. They were happy to see the inclusion of larger houses in the scheme. The following are from the community councils. Concerns were raised with the consideration of school capacity, bus shelter provision and play area provision. Concerns over the loss of agricultural land, specifically considered in their context prime agricultural land. Environmental and drainage concerns, highlighting waterlogging on the site, potential for downstream flooding and impacts on sensitive habitats and the contribution of the site to biodiversity. Inadequate infrastructure was raised and roads concerns. The Community Council were concerned about the roundabout being an inappropriate addition. The scale of the development, potential for social issues from its occupation, and also the ongoing maintenance of the housing stock and the remainder of the site. Transparency about housing purpose was raised, and a considered threat to community identity, with a quote that Sandwick would be engulfed with the scale of housing. All of these matters have been addressed in the report, either taken at the relevant policy section or at the end if they didn't fit in. Again, happy to, at the end of the report, answer any particular queries on those. The key planning issues that came up as we assessed the proposal through the National Planning Framework and Local Plan, as well as material considerations and representations, are as follows. The principle of the development, how it fits with placemaking and design aims, potential impacts on landscape and visual amenity, residential amenity impacts, both during construction and once complete, roads infrastructure and safety impacts, and also drainage infrastructure and impacts. The report sets out an appraisal of these planning issues. That application was subject to minor iterative changes in response to feedback from ourselves and also in representation and from consultees. The application was accompanied by supporting information in the form of a design and access statement, a preliminary ecological appraisal and a pre-application consultation report, all of which fed into the assessment. Mitigation measures and commitments made within these documents were considered and where appropriate can be secured by conditions, which are in the appendix to the report. The new roundabout and junction, as well as new internal roads layout, while considered through the planning application, would also require to be part of a roads construction consent process, which is administered through our road section and assets and infrastructure. So there are elements of that that might not be fully detailed through the planning process, but would require secondary consent. Planning applications do require to be determined in accordance with the provisions of the plan unless material considerations indicate otherwise. Having carried out the appraisal process, our recommendation is for approval, subject to conditions to manage the impacts and delivery of the proposed housing. And I'll just take you back to a wee site layout there in case you have any queries. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mrs MacDonald, for that very detailed and comprehensive report. I'd now like to open out to members of the board for any comments or questions. Councillor Hassin.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks for the presentation. Just two things, a small clarification around the, it says in the report, the Scottish Water will not accept any surface water connections. Can you explain that, please?
Mrs MacDonald. Turn your microphone off.
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, that is a standard response, and what it refers to is that they won't accept surface water into the sewer or combined sewers like they used to have traditionally due to flooding issues. So when you're looking at the plan there, you'll see there's specific surface water systems proposed. The agent did indicate that they might look for what's called adoption by Scottish Water, which means they'd look after and maintain them. That's not mandatory, but it is encouraged. It's what happened at the Goat Hill Farm development. But in other cases, developers would retain and manage their own surface water systems after they're constructed.
Thanks.
After that, Councillor Hussain.
Yes, thank you. Just another question regarding the do you call the access around the roundabout, and obviously through the A66. Is the access, is that creating additional lane to go in, or is it just? I'm just concerned with that in terms of create extra traffic and just maybe take in consideration the number of development there. So.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so it's not a filter lane. It wouldn't be an additional lane. It's a realignment to have essentially the current junction repositioned off the edge of a roundabout instead. So it would still be the same number of accesses into the Melville Farm, singular access, but through a different route. So the lanes would be realigned, but they'd be the same width, they'd be the same nature. It's essentially to keep the traffic flowing due to the fact that there'd be such an increase with the additional housing. So it's to try and stop queuing on the current A66 while people try and access and egress the new housing site.
So it doesn't affect the flow of the traffic. It doesn't create the extra congestion.
It's to try and alleviate the potential for congestion. There's definitely going to be more traffic. So this was consulted on with our road section at the pre-application stage as well as during the application to look for what was considered the best solution to minimise impact on the current flow of the road. And this is what the conclusion was. Again, the full data will have to go through roads construction consent with our road section, and all the finalised details, if it is approved, would be addressed at that stage.
Thank you, Councillor Hussain.
Yeah, I was just obviously concerned about the extra traffic and congestion. If it create extra excess exhaust emissions and things for pollution, obviously, especially school kids walking around, there is quite a lot of evidence that that's one of the riskier things when kids are walking when there is extra emissions. So that's good to see that.
Thank you, Councillor Hussain. Can I just follow up behind those comments regarding the roundabout? Would our roads department deem this new feature as a positive traffic calming measure? Your opinion?
Term traffic calming might not have come into it, but as Councillor Hussain was alluding to, it was to try and ensure there was traffic flow so that there wouldn't be idling, backing up of excessive numbers of vehicles when trying to access into town from point or to get to point from town. It is a significant number of new houses, so it will have more traffic. There'll be construction traffic, which is also covered in condition, and it does need considered. I wasn't privy to all the pre-application, but our roads team worked with the applicant to look at various options, and this was considered effective for the proposal.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor George Murray.
Thank you, Chair. What's an imaginative play area? Was my first question. I lack imagination in that respect, and so my second thing was, what reassurance can we get that the woefully inadequate recreational area in Mackenzie West will not be replicated in this scheme? Because for anyone who's been down there, you blink and you miss it. It's three wooden tables and a couple of logs. That's it. Huge scheme, and that's the play area. Not good, and we need to be reassured that, well, I would hope for state-of-the-art equipment there. Thank you.
Mr. MacDonald. I notice it's stated in condition 20 in the report.
Thank you, Chair. You're quicker than me as I keep trying to flip through this. Imaginative play shouldn't be discounted. It is strongly encouraged in educational and child development policies of the Scottish Government and our own. Having one or the other is often the problem with play areas, either just play equipment with limited space for children to run around and come up with their own ideas and own games, which again is strongly encouraged in policy. It's a very indicative layout we have at the moment, but it would appear to be split into the provision of equipment and the provision of imaginative play. Condition 20 has been designed to try and ensure we get full sight of the details of that, to make sure that we can consider that in line with Scottish Government best practice and delivery. We have had resistance to formal play equipment previously, which as a council we understand due to the maintenance issues. So it will be about striking a balance. But given the overall size of this scheme, we are aware that play equipment really should be included, and we are endeavouring to secure that through this condition. So that is something we look to see on site. It will not just be imaginative play and low impact. We'll be looking for a mixture of both.
Mr. Murray.
Thank you. And will we have any input into what will be going into the unimaginative part of the area? Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. That's an interesting one. I'm not quite sure if we've taken conditions back to committee or council before specifically for those details. I'm not sure if we have a process for that. That's a very good point. Thank you, Mary. We would actually, for this particular type of thing, encourage engagement with local community representatives to see what's sought. That's something we'll definitely do. If you have a suggested rewording of the condition, we can consider that as well. If there's something you feel it could better say to secure what you're hoping.
Councillor Murray.
Thank you. Sorry, coming back in. No, just as long as the community, and particularly parents and even the children themselves, are given the opportunity to say what's best for them. Thank you. That's my last one.
We'll direct that to the applicant. Thank you.
But the general view of officers is that condition 20 is robust enough to mitigate against this.
21.
21, sorry, yeah.
Oh, yes, 21. Yes, as you can see in the condition, it says details of materials and equipment specifications. So we really are seeking a more robust approach than we've maybe able to have achieved previously.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Macaulay.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you very much for the presentation, Helen, and everybody else. I'm back on the roundabout. I'm trying to visualize this roundabout. Is it going to be something that would be comparative with the one at Ingebrigtsen and Siar outside here, or is it going to be something that's comparable with the one that's at the entrance to the airport, where it's just a painted white circle in the middle? Obviously, I would be hoping to be more comparable with the one Ingebrigtsen. I don't know quite how to explain the difference between the two, but I think you know where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Councillor Macaulay. To the best of my understanding, it's a mini roundabout, but the details of that really would be something for our previous technical services team for roads. I think Colin's here, he might have a better idea than me, but that would be secured through the road construction consent specifically rather than through the planning process generally.
Happy with that, Councillor Macaulay? Very good. Oh. Now, can I bring in Councillor Mackenzie? He's not a member of the board, but he wants to make a couple of comments. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as you say, I'm not a member of the planning board, and I was going to raise the question regarding the imaginative play area, and I think Councillor Murray has, gone through it pretty well. I'm concerned that it doesn't end up like, as a local member, that it doesn't end up like Mackenzie Park East, because there is nothing there, as has been described, you know, a table and a couple of logs, and it's important from the community point of view. I mean, it's actually going to be a huge area in terms of houses and people. So potentially there'll be a lot of children there, and it's important that this facility is suitable for the number of houses that's there. And that's all I want to say. I'm not making a comment, yeah or no, at this stage, obviously.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie, for those comments. Well, with that, I don't see any lights on or any other members wishing to speak. So insofar as the board's interests are concerned, do members agree the recommendations at paragraph 3.1 in that the application be approved? Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for your attendance, and can I wish you a pleasant onward week. Thank you.